was just listening to a YouTube thing, and it was this psychic that was bringing through Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the other lady, the lady that's got the channel, she wanted to know if, of course, Bill Clinton was there and, dallying, and she says, oh, yeah. And she asked, Trump, and she said, the girl goes, well, the most salacious things won't come out. The most juicy things that he did. And the lady is like, oh, I don't believe he would do anything. He's, okay, she's somebody that's for Trump. And then she finally said, well, now I really want to know the truth. And she said, yeah, definitely Trump was involved with, a lot of this going on. And then they got to, did he take his own life, etc.? No, it was the CIA. They were leaning on Trump. Everybody wanted to get rid of him. Okay? Now, as this was going on, I'm throwing the cards just to see what it says. Interesting read. So what I got so far, what's fueling it was this message of truth, or, the violence came from the White House. What a surprise. So, again, new thing, new information, evidence. They've got the evidence in hand, okay? When it comes to going forward, an agreement about the death. And the wealthy, okay? And again, restricting that and tempering it, okay, from getting out. So, and the emotion, the things that I think, the emotion, not democracy, but the things that Trumpenstein was doing, and all the wealthy. So that kind of, tells the tale right there. So what I got here, the reading was about what's being birthed, okay? And, of course, him blocking it because it's burdensome, okay? Trump absolutely wants to block that information, does not want it to get out. So the energy coming into it is where this is moving forward to. And, of course, we've got Bondi there with the action of the family. She's right up there protecting the family. What's going on today? Again, holding on to this, keeping the lid on it, on his abuses of power, his abuses. So he's controlling the narrative. So Bondi keeps the lid on it, okay? Not a surprise. The challenge is the fishtails, the lies, when it comes to justice and keeping everything up in the air. These cards don't tell the tale. Potential outcome is some new action, the struggle, arguments with what's being handed out. Now, there are a lot of people that want to have the truth come out, this action. Extra information is about new action for the long term. The struggle, the drama of this deceptive, dark, diabolic thing, and what's being offered, handing out, what's being handed out, what's being offered up, which is to railroad it, not put it out there. So we look at this, the four corners, what's being birthed, the new action, with what's being handed out, and the burden of that, because they're not getting it. They keep asking for it. The foundation is the burden of the family, the abuse that took place, the control, things up in the air with what's being handed out. And then we have this blocking by Pam Bondi, keeping the lid on things when it comes to justice and the arguments that people are fighting for. They want to know what's in there. So what's being birthed moving forward, we have this controlling the narrative of fishtails when it comes to any new action. Okay? So the center of it is keeping the lid on things by Bondi, holding on to the action when it comes to justice, refusing to put it out there. Because above it, Trumpenstein is, carrying the sword and the controlling, keeping the lid on things. So when it comes to moving forward, things are up in the air, and they'll stay up in the air. And the fishtails about the family, about what's actually happening. A lot of lies and spin. So when it comes to Bondi, we have this just not taking this stuff in, blocking it, keeping the lid on it when it comes to going forward with the family, what's being birthed with the abuses of power, and again, the burden of being told you are not going to let anything out. When it comes to justice, the lid is on it and people keep fighting for it. We still have the lies and things up in the air. We have this control dominating when it comes to any new action by Justice Department. And his strong-arming things when it comes to what's being put out, the payoffs, who's all involved, etc. So we're going to do the clarifying read here. Let me get all the cards and give them a good ruffle shuffle. And let's see what we have in the clarifying read. Now this is the second thing they've had with Epstein. I didn't hear the first. I'm going to go back and listen to the first one right after his death, and now this is a few years later that they did the second one. I want to give these as good a ruffle shuffle as I can here. And we'll just see what they have to say. Okay, so the center of it all, we have the message about the actions. And an agreement about what's putting out, where it's going, the action. The agreement is about this emotional thing. I don't think this is Biden. I don't think this is democracy. I think this is about controlling the emotions and what's being built from the White House. Yeah. So there's an agreement about this, how this would affect him with what's being built if this actually went forward. Okay. So we have that, we know the Pope is not happy with Trumpenstein, okay, about compassion and all of that Trump doesn't have it. But let's see what else we have. Trying to juggle this stuff with what's built, what's coming out, and charging forward. Charging forward, because this is painful. A lot of what? Manipulation. but the wheel is turning on the pain he's called. They do have the evidence. And above it all, this is just the knockdown drag out. Okay? Trying to, again, feeling pushed, trying to defend, to have a victory in keeping things concealed. But let's see what there's the conceal, what it says about it. Yeah, the nightmare. A lot of concern with keeping it concealed. I need a victory on this. I would be pushed to the edge. This is a big battle. Okay? A big battle. Figuring out what to do next to continue to distance from it. When it comes to the long arm of the law. And yes, whose involvement is there. So just, move this to a better place. Okay, when it comes to this and all of his fishtails and, coming to temper it, putting restrictions from any of this getting out, from the evidence getting out. Okay, the takeaway, the theft, when it comes to justice, keeping the lid on it, because this is a burden. If this actually went forward about the children. Okay? So I'm going to go back and listen to the rest of this. But yeah, according to him, he said, yeah, he was murdered. It was the CIA that did it. They came up and they were, the guards that were there were paid off. They were there. They weren't sleeping. They knew what happened. Okay, but he said, yeah, they came up behind him and threw this thing over and, choked him out, killed him, and then hung him up to make it look like he committed suicide. Yep. But he said they did do some drinking children's, that whatever that thing is, that they were talking about. He said they did it. It was he thought it was a purification thing. Creepy, just creepy. He said there was a death that happened there. And it was both girls and boys as well. And one of the participants was, guess who? Nosferatu, the Giuliani. Oh, what a creep. He just, he's so, God, he's so creepy. But yeah, he was involved too. Many stars, many politicians, all the big 1% wealthy ones. So I'm going to leave this here, go back and watch the rest of it, and just see what is said from this point. But I want to go back and listen to the first one too, when I guess he said his soul has made some progress in the second one. So I want to go back and hear the first one. He said, but his whole thing was about power, having power. Okay? Just about having power. So, on that note, I'll leave that here.